I think starting a business is very easy. It's exciting, it's fun, it's the best part. You got this idea, you're in idea mode.
Also, in a way though, it actually is also the hardest part. To get started is where most people fail. They just don't even start.
All right, welcome back to the show. My name is Chinchay. Today I have guests with me, Hannah Bayler. Hannah, say what's up.
What's up, what's up?
Today we're going to be talking about lessons we have learned in 2024, and we're just going to see where it goes from there. So
a lot of lessons, a lot to talk about there.
Start with you. What's a lesson, something you've learned in 2024 that was maybe hard or not hard, whatever you want, that you've learned that you would hope someone listening is going to be like, well, now I don't need to learn that lesson because she told me.
Beautiful. Yes, I wish I learned that way, but unfortunately I do learn it the hard way, and I do it for you guys. No,
I do it for the fans. She's gonna leave it every time I do that. Yeah.
I've definitely had to learn a lot very quickly this year because I was thrown into things, and you just have to go with it. You know? I would say the biggest thing would be taking leaps of faith and not overthinking things, and just like taking action. Yeah. Instead of, sitting around trying to
getting fat. No, sorry.
Just instead of
getting all fat
and sexy, eating bread and desserts. But yeah, just like being like having the audacity to just like take a leap of faith with really no proof that you're going to be successful. Yeah. Because in order to be successful, you have to do that a lot. I think.
Over and over again.
Over and over. And I think people wait until it's a smart move or until they're confident, until they have all the pieces lined up, and then it's too late, or most likely it just never happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And with that, I think you have to be okay to fail.
No, you have to. Yeah. And like also just kind of trusting God too, that like if God tells you to do something, it's not necessarily that you're not going to fail, because like he never promises that. Yeah. But he does promise that like he will turn it for good either way. Yeah. And just trusting that if he's asking you to do something, even if you have no proof that it's going to be successful. Yeah. It's gonna work out according to his plan. Yeah. Just taking those leaps.
To your point about like the failing and stuff, I think that's good because I'm like mixed about failing, because I'm like, yes, I think failing is good, but then also I'm like, but did I really fail? Because the only way you can really fail is if you give up. Because something's too hard. But at the same time, then but I also try and remind myself and remind other people, like, dude, it's good to fail. And if you're not failing at something, you're not really actually trying.
And I think it's really important to switch your mindset with failure. Not just saying like, failure is good, blah, 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 but actually cultivating the realization that everything is really preparation for part of your path. Yeah. And just understanding that none of your life is even really about success, and that it'll probably naturally come if you're doing the things and you're following the steps and whatever, but that it's really all to make us into a type of person that we're supposed to be. Yeah. And so if you like look at everything as like, my goal is to become exactly who I'm supposed to be, and that person will naturally succeed, then it doesn't matter when you fail or when you whatever, because you're like, that is preparing me. Yeah. And that's what qualifies me.
And I think you've said this when you were younger and I was somewhere. Yeah. You like wouldn't do something unless you were like, I know I'm going to do it perfect.
I've been that way since I was like 3 years old.
Yeah.
I would observe and figure out exactly how to win before I would attempt anything.
Yeah. Which I think is good, because now you actually are very good at researching things. Yeah. Like, she recently started Airbnb in her house, which is very exciting. She got one up and running, but you did a lot of research.
I did.
You did a lot of research.
Anyone can be good at anything nowadays. It's all on the internet.
No, it is. Yeah. There's and I think people now are a less scarcity mindset of like holding the keys to the kingdom, not telling people how to do it. I gotta think about that even with soccer recruitment. I don't hold back on my content of telling people what they need to do. Yeah. I have people telling me like, you're giving too much away or whatever. I'm like, dude, no, I'm not, because so few people are also ever going to even do the work. Yeah. Right? And then even if they start to, they need that accountability and that help anyways.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Having it all in one place Yeah, making it simple.
So is that
is part of the problem, is that there's so much information out there that I've gotten into so many different topics and so many different like
okay, tell me about your lessons about that. Yes.
Staying focused. You mean?
yeah, sure.
It's a big one for me. I'm very ADHD.
Yeah.
And there's it's a blessing and a curse. There's a lot of things we're good at. There's a lot of paths we can take, and there's a lot.
You
of
heard it here first.
There's always gonna be opportunities. Always gonna be distractions.
Yes.
There's even one
Shiny
last
objects.
week where Izzy was like, "That is a waste of your time. Don't do that."
Yeah.
But that was very important for me. I actually needed to try a lot of different things and realize it wasn't for me, and find the things that I actually want to do, and then stick to them. And I think what made me realize, or one of the ways that helps me figure out what I actually want to do, is like my whole life I've always, when I'm creating a business idea or whatever, it's like, it's because this is what I'm passionate about and this is what I want to help people with and whatever. But then I had to get really realistic and specific about, but what would my day-to-day look like? And is that actually what I want to do?
Yes.
Because that's what really matters.
Yes.
And so finding like, okay, what do I actually want my days to look like? What tasks do I want to be doing, and what do I want to be learning about every day?
Yeah. Yes. No, I love that. I think that's huge. And to your point about you tried a lot of things, the importance of trying a lot of things. I've obviously started so many businesses and done so many things, like cleaning, bread making, cheesecake. I started a peanut butter business.
Yeah, like when I met you, we were like fresh 18, and she had like a full-blown cleaning business.
Yes, yeah, I really did. Yeah, I had so many different things, and it was so good to try so many different things, and then you realize the things that you really don't like and that you do like, and then you also have to realize that no matter what, at the end of the day, things become boring.
Yeah.
And they become monotonous, and the best of the best choose to not get bored of the basics.
Yes.
And you have to be willing to be like, at some point, yes, I'm going to get bored of this, and that's okay.
That's something I've really had to work on, because I've always had extreme bouts of motivation and passion, but I never really like cultivated discipline.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference, because like passion and motivation you'll start a million businesses if you have that.
Yep.
But if you don't have discipline, you won't make any one of them successful.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's huge. And it's so what do you think is like the time of, it's like, okay, you've tried enough things. Yeah. Now you need to like commit to something. What do you think that, or at least what was that for you?
For me,
let's speak to that for sure.
Well, so I had to go through a series of, there's a different reason for each one of why it wasn't for me. So like first I did my nonprofit organization, and I realized this is not going to make me enough money. And I'll come back to this when I'm rich, and then I'll do it. Yeah. But so that was the reason that one didn't really pan out. Yeah. And then I tried all these other different business ventures that were just not what I, like I said, wanted to do on a day-to-day basis. But every single one of them that I did gave me knowledge that I'm using now, and skills, and just awareness of just how businesses work, and all, so much of it's transferable. Like, you're never wasting your time by starting the wrong business either. It's transferable.
That's so good. Yeah, 100%, because you're learning the skills to start a business.
Exactly.
And then I think starting a business is very easy.
It's very easy.
It's exciting. It's fun. It's the best part. You got this idea. You're in idea mode.
Also, in a way, though, it actually is also the hardest part,
because to get started.
Is where most people fail. They just don't even.
Don't even start. And like 80% drop off there. But then once we get into the new bracket of all the people who have started, I think 90% of people, is right after it's boring and it's not working great. Yeah. And then, because I think that is the case in everything that you start. Like, it's going to be hard. It's going to suck. It's not going to go as planned. We're not having immediate success. Because I think a lot of people can spend a long time starting a business, and then as soon as it's started and the success isn't immediately coming, they're like, Yeah, no, 100%. So let's talk about your business. I'm very excited about your business. I'm passionate about your business.
Thanks, man. I'm passionate about your business.
As am I. Shout out. No, Okay, let's talk about TheraBox, baby.
TheraBox. So, TheraBox is a therapeutic boxing business. We've got a gym, we've got a location. And so basically it combines traditional boxing skills with therapeutic techniques, psychological exercises, and a lot of what I do is to either overcome trauma and healing, or to just simply work on mindset growth and like visualization and creating, you know, goals and habits, and just becoming empowered and the type of person that you want to become. And so that's basically what it is. It's just a combination of, because boxing in its own is very therapeutic. And then I decided I have a background in therapy.
Too much rhythmic.
It's very.
So I think that too. Sorry to cut you off, but that's a piece of it. But sorry. Talk about your background in therapy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, as you know. No. I have quite the background in therapy. Did treatment and therapy for myself for a lot of years, and that just taught me so much. So much, yeah.
Lots to unpack there. Another episode.
Yeah, another episode.
We'll talk about treatment. Yeah. No, now we're in sync, baby. Let's go. Yeah, no, so, all right, so you had your trip in Colombia.
Yes.
And your trip in Colombia.
Yes.
So, after that, I feel like you were like...
Yes, so...
Talk about that.
I've been boxing for like a year and a half. And I had the idea, like pretty quick, like a year and a half ago, of like, wow, this is super therapeutic. I could definitely mix this with what my specialties and my expertise in the field of psychology and therapy. But it was just kind of like an idea. And I was like, that would be cool. Someone should start that, you know? And then, I went to Colombia for an ayahuasca retreat.
Woo! She said it, not me.
Yeah, so I basically, during the ayahuasca ceremony, it was like, you're supposed to start this business. And after the ceremony... Chills,
I'm getting chills. I really am.
It was pretty intense. And this was like we did 3 ayahuasca ceremonies. And so it was the third one after I worked through a bunch of my own stuff.
Yeah.
And like had, you know, great talks with God and everything.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, now you're supposed to start this business. And at this point, no expertise, no like proof of anything, whatever. And then we had a group after the ceremony with all of the different people that were at this retreat.
Yeah.
And I was like, no one here, you know, knows me. Like, no one's gonna steal my business idea. So I told them, and everyone was like, that's great, it's a great idea, whatever. And this one lady, she was just like this really profound, like very zen, like spiritual woman. She did not talk pretty much the entire trip. And then she came up to me, like the first words I heard her say were, she was like, you have to start that business. And I was like, I got chills. Like,
I have chills right now.
Yeah, I was like, I trust every word this woman says, because she does not say words, and she is a very, very intelligent, tapped in person. Anyways, so I went home and I like pretty much...
was this in July? When was this? Or was it August? I forget.
I want to say this was like 5 months ago.
Yeah.
Not that long ago.
Yeah.
And so I basically went home and immediately started the business. And within a couple months, built an entire gym. Again, with no proof that this would be successful at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how that came.
That's awesome.
To be. Yeah.
I'm proud of you, man. No, that's legit, and the gym is dope. Maybe we'll have I'll have my editor put a little thing in your gym right now.
Oh, yes.
Add that into here. We need it. Cool. All right. So what has been the biggest struggle in this last 5 months of this?
With TheraBox or in general?
With the business, yeah.
I'd say the biggest struggle is probably just maintaining confidence in it. Because again, like I said, no experience, no proof that's really gonna be successful. But I've like done my due diligence. Thank you.
Yeah.
My due diligence.
My due diligence.
I've done it.
It's been done.
But I've tried to like bring in experts. Because there's no reason not having the expertise in certain areas that you feel like you should have, because no one really does anyways. But that's never a reason not to start. You just bring in the people who do.
Yep.
You know, and so I think that's given me confidence. But that's been the biggest thing, is just maintaining confidence and enthusiasm that like, yes, like I am supposed to be doing this, even though sometimes I'm kind of like, what did I do? This is kind of a lot that I jumped into.
Yeah. I would say that feeling is very normal.
Yeah.
And anyone who wants to start a business, you're thinking about starting a business, you're in it, like that doubt is, you're never not going to have doubt. Like, you're never not going to have doubt, and that can come in. But you don't have to believe the doubt. You don't have to believe all your feelings. Like, they're not all true. But I think that's a very normal way to feel. And, like, I mean, even me with my business, called you yesterday or whatever. I'm like, I'm doubting it. Like, and it's like, I'm in it and running it, and we're having success, and you still doubt it. And I think that's what you're saying about imposter syndrome. I think you were saying that yesterday. Like, that is going to, everyone deals with imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And I think if you don't have imposter syndrome, you're probably not pushing yourself, and you're not growing at a very rapid rate.
Or you're not, like, actually aware, because you're just being naive.
Yeah,
like, yeah.
I think for the most part, though, I think Mel Robbins talks about imposter syndrome and stuff. Is it Mel Robbins? She heard us talking about her?
Oh my gosh,
yeah, no, but I think that, imposter syndrome.
And I also had a decent amount of people kind of be like I would tell them the idea, and they'd be like, okay, it's a little weird. Like, people, not everyone gets it.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's natural. Because especially...
But are those people running a big time business? And or
anybody
even a
I
business
know who's successful, an entrepreneur, anything like that, has been like, this idea is amazing.
They're like fire flames,
yeah.
baby.
And anyone who works a 9 to 5 has been like, I don't get that. That sounds a little weird.
Yeah.
Because nobody's ever done it before.
Yeah.
You know?
And when those people see you winning more than them, it makes them feel bad about where they're at, so then they don't want to do that.
Well, and they're also coming from their own mindset of, like, when you tell someone an idea, they're thinking, in a sense, could I do that? No, I wouldn't be successful with that. And then they're putting that on you.
Yeah, and they're like, there's no way.
Because they only have the capacity of their own, like, understanding and belief in themselves to be able to believe in you on your ideas.
Yeah. I think that's a huge shift that I've had too. It's just that, like, change, to really learn to love change.
Yeah.
And I was there talking to someone yesterday. It was a physical therapist. He was like, I hate change. I never want anything to change. And I said, then you probably don't like growth that much.
Yes.
And he's like, well, you could grow in other ways, which, you can and everything. And we're fine. It wasn't like a bad conversation.
But requires not being in your comfort zone.
Yeah. And so exactly, he was like, I like to stay in my comfort zone. I don't like change.
Growth is not stagnant.
Yeah, and growth sucks most of the time. Mm-hmm. Like, that's why it's literally called growing pains.
Yeah.
Like, it hurts to grow.
Yes, but it hurts a lot less than
not growing.
Staying the same.
Yeah, especially when you have that feeling that you're supposed to do more.
Yes.
And you're not. I think my hardest transition probably was in between what I'm doing now and leaving soccer as an athlete, because I felt like, what am I doing? I'm not chasing something. I'm not pursuing something that's, like, great and bigger and the next thing and the impact. And I was like, that was the most uncomfortable I've ever been.
It's actually the opposite. And, like, you know, like, you were chasing your career. Now you're chasing helping so many people,
exactly. Yeah.
And actually having such a larger impact.
Yeah. That's.
But that was a huge mindset shift you had to have, going from being an athlete.
Yeah. Well, and I was like, after that, I was just, like, finishing up my degree and then just, like, working, which is what a lot of people do. Nothing's wrong with that if that works for you, but if you feel like you're supposed to be, I was like, this is terrible. Like, I'm just working to work? I don't understand that. And people, like, obviously that's why most people are not entrepreneurs, is because they'd rather have the stability and all the things, and, like, that's fine.
I'd rather drown.
I cannot do it. No, and I can't 100%. There's no way I can do that. I will.
I also am just not successful in it. At least, like, you could, like, make it work. I just, like, can't hold jobs very well. Now I can, but it is not, I don't fit into that.
Yeah. It's like what we were talking about. It's like the being told what to do. It's just like,
it's a moral claustrophobia.
I have a moral claustrophobia about being told what to do. Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah, no, and it's like always, and I think there's like a weird, especially we both worked corporate for a while, and so there's like a weird, the dark days. There's like a weird thing about, like, in the corporate world where it's like you have to be, like, suffering a certain amount to, like, earn your money.
No,
And so like people, even if all your work is done, you have nothing to do, you're still supposed to be in the office for a certain amount of hours. For what? For what? I do not understand that.
The whole system is corrupt.
I hated that. I was like, I can't do this, and I don't understand.
Well, one thing that I've really learned, because I think you've probably somewhat similar in this, but I spent my entire like childhood and life feeling like, why can't I succeed in these areas? Why can't I do good in school? Like I tried.
Yeah.
Why can't I fit into all these different things? And people who are not meant to be the average person,
you're just not going to fit into. You will not fit. It's built for the average person.
It is, and it's also built to create like mindless workers. And we couldn't be broken by it. And I realized that the system is actually not a system that you want to fit into. This, in order to fit into the system, that means they broke you down enough to fit into it. And we can't be put in that box.
Yeah. And some people like to live in the system, and that's totally fine. I think that's becoming more rare, and more people are like, that's why I'm trying to always support small businesses, shop local, all those things, because more people are waking up to that, and they're like, dude, we could just own our own business, and we could do this in a way that made more sense, and we don't have to be like married to the corporate system. And
I think that's the thing. It's because a lot of people do love the 9 to 5, and like honestly, a lot of times I wish I did.
Oh my gosh,
much easier.
I thought about that yesterday. I was like, damn, that'd be kind of nice. And then I was like, no.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's great if you love it, and like absolutely do it. We need those people in the world too. But to like really ask yourself and be like, do I actually want to do this, or do I just not believe that there's another route?
Yes.
You know, because they teach us that they don't teach us any other route.
Exactly. And a lot of people think they have no other options.
Exactly. And I've seen that mindset. Very close to me. And it's
same.
like, because they actually don't believe
there's any other way to.
And for us, it's almost easier because that route that they teach you wasn't actually beneficial for us. So you kind of had to find another route. Whereas if you're good at it, it's a lot harder to be forced
the people who are really good, they do the things all like it's easy to but I think there's a lot of people who are like, I'm not good at this,
but
and
this is it.
This is what I have to do, and there's no other way. And those people, I'm like, there is another way, and you can do it. And that's why I also think there's a lot of work to be done around like poverty mindset. I grew up in a massive poverty mindset. It was always like, we don't have enough money. We have to wait until next month to buy the thing. I wish we could afford that. We can't afford that. Which I will say, I'm glad that I grew up that way versus just not knowing how to manage money. My parents did a very good job of managing the amount of money that they had to support 8 kids on a teacher's salary. Like, they did a phenomenal job, but there was a lot of poverty mindset. I didn't
get any of those skills.
But I feel like you have more like, money always comes to me, like a little, you've had to work on it too. But
I think that I've never had a good, like, yes, I'm worthy and money comes to me, but I also didn't have a poverty mindset. I basically just had the mindset of like, even if I broke, I'm fine. It doesn't matter. And that was good. But I think you watch me and the transition I've had even since you met me when I was 17. That's cool. That's 9 years. Wow. Is that 9 years? Or 8 years. Anyways. Long time. But I had such a, I was the most biggest saver you ever met in your life. I'd save every penny, which is a good skill to have, and I think people need to know how to save money. You're also an absolute workhorse, which you still are, but I feel like now you realize you don't have to force it, you can let it flow.
I think there's just a smarter, better way to work too, because I was
that
always
got you so far too.
It did, yes, because I was always like, I have to work more hours. I was a full-time student, full-time athlete, would work 3 different nanny jobs so I could fit it into my schedule to get all the hours. It was insane, dude. I would get done. I would nanny in the morning, go to practice. I'd have weights in the morning. Then I'd nanny. Then I'd go to class. Then I'd go to practice. Then I'd go back to nannying, and sometimes I wouldn't get off till 12 o'clock.
That's crazy.
And then it was absolutely insane.
It's so funny how different we were when we met. You were just a full-grown adult at like 17.
Yeah.
And I was fresh out of treatment with no real world experience whatsoever. I didn't have a driver's license, a car, a job. I basically dropped out of school. I would wake up every morning and eat candy. While here's to give you a perspective. One night when we used to like share a bed all the time because, you know, we're besties. And in the middle of the night, I look up and she was working out in her sleep. I didn't know she was asleep, but she was working out. She was lifting a sandbag over her head. She was getting like a really good sweat going.
I was literally sweating.
And she got back in bed all sweaty, and I was like, okay, whatever. The next day I was like, why'd you work out in your sleep? She was like, I didn't work out. What are you talking about? She did it in her sleep.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I wake up like and go straight to my bag of candy.
Yeah. Literally, I was like, what are you eating? This is poison. How are you?
I had no positive habits. I mean, I had freedom for the first time.
Yeah, ever.
Ever, because you're not allowed to do anything in treatment. And so I did whatever I wanted, and I just...
Yeah, you were like, oh, freedom. I was rigid. I was the most rigid individual you would have ever met.
And I was so go with the flow.
But we meshed really well.
And we'll sleep in hammocks. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, I was actually on board with that because I felt like I had no options.
I was like, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, and I was like, this is serious. This is dangerous.
I had no idea. I was just like, we'll be fine.
Yeah. No, that's true. But you think that I am much less rigid now,
and I've gained a lot more rigidness.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say I'm rigid. But I don't think a functional adult now.
I think some people might think I'm still rigid, but compared to who I was, I am like the most chill person ever. In my mind, at least, because I was like, I could not ever do anything.
Well, I think you also your worth was linked to your work ethic.
Yes, everything about me was how much can I get done, how hard can I work, how much can I suffer, basically.
So it was like half fear of survival, so like what you had to do to make it by, but it was the other half was like, but also in order to be worthy and good enough. And now I'm like, if I'm going to suffer and really push through, it's going to be because I'm working towards something, not because I feel I need to do that to be successful. It's just like, this is just a phase. Of value.
Yeah, but it's good that I have the tolerance to still do things when I feel like crap or it's just a tough time or whatever. It's
dude, you've grown so much, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Actually.
Thank you, God. Yeah, so have you though. Yeah,
who would have thought?
Not me.
And it is funny that we really we started here and then we kind of went like this. We both went up.
We've become more like each other for sure because we needed. Yeah, we were just extreme on both sides.
And it's crazy that we were such good friends being that different and especially with how rigid you were, and you were just okay with me being the way that I was.
Yes, it did stress me out.
I know it stressed
totally
you out,
stressed me
but
out.
You were willing to work with it.
Because I also knew who you were and knew, I saw this too. I saw everything else that you were gonna do, but you needed help.
But because we were willing to accept each other's differences and help each other grow, is when you're able to actually utilize why we're meant to be different.
Yeah, because at that point you had also just done so much inner work, all the therapy, all the things that I had done none of. I had just done all the be disciplined stuff, all the habits.
Myself, I was great. I was so zen. I was so at peace and everything. But in the physical realm, I didn't know how to do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
And you were kind of the opposite. So we had to.
And I was able to see that, and that there weren't that many other people, especially for 17, 18 in college. There aren't very many people who are just spending a lot of time journaling, or questioning themselves, why am I thinking this way? Where is my heart at?
Much more self-aware and invested in ourselves than anyone our age was.
At that time. I definitely did not. I would go back and do things differently though.
Yeah.
Because I was so rigid. I was more like a prude and came off very judgmental, I would say, which is something that I definitely regret because
I agree, however, I think that's a them problem. Because, I could have felt that way.
Yeah, but you never felt that way about me. Yes, that's so true.
I was all the things that people thought you were judging.
That's so true.
But I didn't.
And I was like, yeah, we were always together and besties.
But
yeah.
we could like laugh about it because I'm like,
yeah,
it doesn't make me a bad person.
That's actually really true. They actually felt bad about it.
Yes, because they were insecure about it.
Dude, that's really true.
And you were an example of what they knew they should be but weren't. And so it wasn't that you were ever saying anything like, oh, you should do this.
Yeah, I never said.
It was that you were doing it, and it was in their face of like, I'm not doing everything she's doing.
Yeah, that's true.
But you have gotten a lot better though at making people feel comfortable, because even though that's not your responsibility, it helps.
It helps, and I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago, but delivery matters.
It does.
And that's been a huge area of growth for me, because I was always so like soldier-esque, like it's all things, your feelings don't matter, it is what it is, like all the things. Even if that's true, it's just not the smartest way to manage people. Because you're going to push people away, you're not going to actually help them.
Like, you could be like, oh, if they're jealous of me, that's their problem. And it is, but why would you ever want people to feel that way? And you're not going to have good relationships and be able to actually help people if they feel that way.
If everyone did all the work to be solid in who they are and everything, like then it would be fine.
Exactly.
But most people don't.
Yes.
And so if you really want to be a good leader and impact and help people, then you're going to try and meet them a little bit where they're at.
Yeah, exactly.
And use a little bit more.
And it's not lowering yourself.
Not at all. It's extending a hand, though.
Yes.
And really using the sandwich method.
The sandwich method.
It's literally everything.
It is.
Yeah. For those of you who are curious on this, it's just like if someone has something that they're doing that they need to do differently so they can get to the next level, you don't just tell them that. First, you compliment, then you tell them the hard thing, and then you compliment.
Exactly.
And the delivery is way better.
It's so much better.
Yeah, it works on me. Like, I'm like, thank you, that was better. Like, I'd rather hear it like that, too. So.
And even if the thing is harsh and might hurt just as bad to hear, it helps to know that, like, the person delivering it to you cares and still's acknowledging the things you do.
Exactly. Because people do not care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yes.
And so when you show people you care about them, and that's why you're telling them
and that you actually see them and you see the good things too, so then they can actually value and take as truth the negative.
Then they're like, okay, I can digest this better.
You actually were always kind of naturally good at that with me though, where you were able to be like, you're really compassionate, you're really good at this, you're really whatever.
You need some better habits, Hannah.
You need to be a functional human being that feeds themselves.
But you would still do things with me, like, that's the thing. Like, there were times where you would. So I was so extreme. Like, I would get up at like 4 a.m. to go to the gym when I already had practice later on in that morning. There was no real need to do that. It was diminishing returns. But you would get up with me sometimes to go. Yeah. How about a couple times?
Like I said, I have always had bouts of extreme motivation. It's the consistent discipline that I lacked. I was never taught discipline.
I don't think most people are.
Yeah, I think your family got some. That's like the main thing you were taught. Probably.
Yeah, you need to be. You can't be lazy. That was like the number one thing my mom said in my house. She's like, you'll never be fat and lazy.
Yeah, and I had discipline when it came to the soccer. I always had that growing up, but the passion after having taken 3 years off of soccer to do treatment, like the passion was gone, and I just did not have. No,
you were like, what?
Yeah.
I've done all the inner work, man. I was still like, I need to be valuable because of the way that I play on the field.
I did too much inner work. Here's what happened. I
got way too zen, man.
I did so much inner work that I got to the point where I didn't need to accomplish anything to feel good about myself. I knew that I was inherently worthy, good enough, God loved me without doing anything. And so
awesome.
you're like, why would you do anything?
That's.
But then when you actually, I think doing that and then choosing to find discipline is a good. You have to have both.
That's where it's gonna really be the mesh.
Yeah, well, but it was too far for me.
Because you still, if you didn't have a desire and this drive to do something great with your life, then that wouldn't matter.
Also, I think the biggest thing for me was like truly coming to Jesus, because it's like I still don't feel like I need to be successful for myself or whatever. But like, I know my life is not about me.
Yeah.
God put me here for a reason, and I have to deliver.
Yeah. Yeah, there's people that you're meant to impact and gonna help and all the things. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do think, like, Ed Milet always talks about, like, at the end of your life, he always believes that, like, God's gonna show you your potential, and the goal is to be that person.
Yes.
Otherwise, he's just gonna show you around, like, all the things you could have done, basically.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow.
Like, I could have done that. Yeah.
What? I could have done that?
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, this was awesome.
This was cool.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next time. Thank you for listening. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, I would greatly appreciate if you could share this episode with 5 people you think could benefit from the show. Also, please feel free to connect with me on Instagram at Chinchay or my website at izzychinchay.com. Thank you so much for being you. Keep being a leader and making this world a better place.